I remember him saying, I don't know if I'm that Chris, but he's like,
You are.
he eyeballed me and he's like, your head's up your fucking hole. And that was it, walks off.
I can't,
I was like, oh,
I can't imagine.
he's so right.
I can't imagine Jim Gavin saying that. The mad thing is, you go in 15, like you're a young lad, no one really knows, and by the end of 15, you have put Michael Darragh Macaulay on the bench, the former footballer of the year. It's you and Dennis Bastick, and you get man of the match in the All Ireland final, and like, so your first real season in there, just like ready made. It looks like that was insane. I don't know. Did you have some deep sense, confidence, maybe arrogance, of youth? Did you think to yourself when you went into 15, I'm going to start in this team, man of the match in Ireland final? That sounds about right.
No, like a pipe dream maybe, but I specifically remember there was a point in that season. I'd been called in for the league squad. Like, you're training away, but you're nowhere near a few match day squads. You're part of the match day squad down to Cork or Kerry in that early league, 2015. Few minutes here and there, but I was like, I am in dreamland here. Do you know, I got a few minutes in. We played in Killarney against Kerry, rarely. I think it was the only time I ever played in Killarney. So I was delighted, and there's a point in the season where I speak to Jack McCaffrey. I'm like, at what point here are we getting Dublin gear? Do you know, because I was like, survive, make it till April or whatever. We get the championship gear back. Do you know, but I remember, funnily enough, Bernard Dunn. World champion boxer, who was involved with us at the time as a kind of a performance coach, bit of a motivator, great person, great friendship now to this day. So he was involved in the team at the time, and I think Jim had obviously teed him up to like, go and meet this fella and give him a shake, because maybe they must have been seeing that I was able for it. Yeah. I didn't believe that myself. I was just happy to coast at that stage. I was happy with where, I was believing in this. It'll take me a year or two now to bed in. It'll take me a year or two in the gym and to catch up with these boys. All Ireland winners, 13 and, 11. So that the bulk of that panel. So it'll take me a year or two. Just survive here. Great learning. Unbelievable. The perks of the job, and again, I come from, I was just so out of my, I was just such dreamland for me. And Bernard Dunn meets me in a hotel over Southside, and he's like, there's a space in this team for you. I was like, what? I was laughing. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, there's not. Because again, Michael Darragh, Dennis Bastick, whoever you wanted, James was kind of filling in there, all these big players, heavy hitters. But I left that meeting being like, geez, they must think I can do this. Yeah. And then that just kind of puts wind in your sails a little bit, and you're kind of reading into things a little bit more, and you're like, oh, my match day squad, I'm getting more minutes. And he's telling me to warm up, or he's telling me to do this, or you might have a squad game where you're at halftime, they'll play A's and B's. Sorry, they'll play A's and B's in a squad game, but at halftime they'll swap over a few players. Do you know, they're like, okay, Bernard Brogan swap with Kev McMenamin. Do you know what I mean? To go on to the A team, and I was one of them. Do you know? So this was all happening quite quickly in the run up to championship or the end of the league, and then I started the last group league game up in Monaghan, and for whatever reason banged in a goal from wing forward. Ridiculous. Just when you talk about people looking down on you or whatever, again, it's just so, it would never happen. You know. And I remember I slagged Ian Rockstill. I was running off his shoulder. He gave me the pass to score the goal, and he was probably thinking, who is this fella? Right, go on, you. Try your best. Because he's quite close to goal as well. So he gives me a banging goal. And it's just kind of, it just never looked back since. So we started the following week. I think we played Monaghan again in Croke Park in a dead rubber, like a league semi-final maybe. Okay. At the time there was league semi-finals. And played Cork in a league final. Played okay, played all right, got a block early doors, and just was in from championship. And then...
It's amazing.
Yeah,
man of the match, All Ireland final.
Yeah, well, again, your mate Kieran Whelan, my mate Kieran Whelan, he only told me recently that I got man of the match in All Ireland final. Knew no different. It was such a privilege to be named man of the match. In your first year, it's unheard of. Yeah. But only recently, I don't know where I met him. He was telling me that they all went back to RT Studios that night. Few pints on board, whatever. They're prepping for the Sunday game, and he tells the story that they're all kind of sitting around the studio. I was like, all right, lads, who we give it to? Do you know what I mean? So he's telling me this. I'm like, Wheelo, tell me the opposite. Yeah. I'm like, tell me that it was me from the 70th minute. But that's how he tells. He's like, we'll go with Endable. Everyone's like, no, I don't. So maybe I wasn't as such a unanimous winner of the man of match award.
And how is it like with someone like Michael Darragh who's suddenly on the bench? Is there a bit of Rog Sexton there, or is it okay?
It's okay because Michael Dara is such an amazing
Yeah.
personality. Like I probably in my own head was making more of it. I was like, oh my god, he hates me. He like wants to kill me. And there was probably moments in squad games where he came close.
Well, he has to try and fight for.
No,
his
of course,
place.
yeah. And he was always an aggressor. Like he was all. I was never like I was the young kid, like played nice football, but like never the like aggressor. Whereas he was like the late tackles, the late hits, and I kind of loved that. I respected it. Then I was like, okay, come on, like bring it on, and that probably brought me on to a sense as well. So, but no, like amazing off the pitch, and was on the piss one there 2 weeks ago in Dingle, and we had a great time. So, well, yeah, like there was definitely sense, but he was in and out of the team as well. Like, it wasn't like he was just a guaranteed non-starter. And like I just completely took his place. There was 2 spots to fight for, and or so I was telling myself in my head. But like Dennis Pastick was in 1 week, Michael Dara the next, and I played quite poorly. We played in Mayo in a semi-final that year, because we played Kerry in the final, Mayo in the semi-final, and I was whipped off in the second half of the drawn game in the semi-final, and I probably thought then, I was like, right, they're going to bring back, they're going to just go back to try and test it. We drew that game, but he put me in for the replay, and thankfully it was well in my head on a knife edge for a while there.
Yeah. So I guess it's that or 23 your favourites, but then like it is. We're not going to go through all these, by the way. Don't worry.
No, please do.
It is kind of striking. 2015 man of the match, your first year. 2016 Mayo epic. 2017 more Mayo epics. Some of the greatest games of all time in many ways. I can just see you in that run of those first 3 years at 21, 22, 23, just looking around and almost thinking, what is this?
You're right. It is that. But again, you have like game face, poker face, like all this sports psych stuff that you're hearing. But like, I remember.
These are some of the greatest games in the history
of
amazing
football. And like even watching it back, and this was before the whole football's gone to the dogs debate. Like, so this is like peak, in my opinion. Like, and I have watched games from 70s, 80s, 90s, but I'm like, this is elite sport here. Both teams, heavy hitters, going at it. Not to blow it up. But
no, some of the greatest games.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that's the consensus. So to look back on it now and to be like, oh my God, that's me. Like, honestly, I still look like games like, what the hell? Like, and I had mistakes, I had good plays, I had bad plays, but like to look back on it with a sense of I was part of that, we were part of that, our team was the eventual winner. It is just unbelievable. It's mine. And you don't, as every player says, you don't have time in the moment to appreciate it because you're there to rip their throats and they're there to do the exact same to you. But it's only afterwards. And I think like you build yourself up so much for these games. I think we played Donegal in a semi-final one of those years. I remember driving home from the Gibson like roaring in my car. It's like the relief that comes with like just like roaring for whatever reason. I was like, yeah, it's like just driving the steering wheel. Just the sense of relief that comes with like, oh, like we did it. And this was like quarterfinal, semi-final. You just build things up so much in your head, and this is like life or death situation. But
that's a great. That's a good image.
We got
people should tweet you the Jerry Maguire where he's screaming.
yeah. We got lucky. We deserved it, but we certainly. They were amazing.
Amazing.
They were. They were.
You know the way, so with that first trial game, Jim Gavin will text you about the kicking.
Yeah.
Throughout your decade, I know you weren't with him for the full decade, but time together, was he carrot with you? Was he stick? Were there routine, you need to work on this? Or did it get to a point where actually he was like, Brian, you're amazing. I just have to say again, you're amazing.
No, he was never, as you probably know the answer to that question, Jim was never you're amazing. Like, do your thing out there.
But I did read you say, I think it was Mick Foley, you said like, in subtle ways, like in a team meeting, he might say, and let's just get Fento on the ball.
Yeah. So there was a bit of that, but again, that would kind of embarrass me more than anything. I was like, that specific example was the 2018 final.
Tyrone.
Yeah, Tyrone. And they had a great start, but I think we clawed it back. Mannion got a penalty. So we were maybe a couple of points in front. But I had like 2 possessions, whereas every game up until the last 3 years had been like 40, 50 possessions. And it's not all about possessions, but like if I'm in the game, I think we're ticking and I'm ticking and we're involved, whatever. Yeah. And there was a sense of like, he just said, it was like, Fendo, 2%, let's get him on the ball. Like, let's like, so that was the first time I'd heard that from Jim. Okay. I was like delighted with myself, like, but I needed my teammates to get me on the ball. The way it was being marked and that was kind of the blueprint then. From then on in my career was kind of I was getting close attention. You were allocated a man, so that was probably the start of it. I hadn't trained for it, I wasn't ready for it. But then the second half, it opens up, it loosens up. There's subs made, and you get a score.
And was that a get Fento on the ball? In general terms, then would he have been communicative?
No,
with you,
you'd never seen or hear of him.
Right.
Yeah, in many ways, yeah. It's like, obviously, you see him every day. He's taking training sessions every team meeting, but there's rarely a one-on-one. It was always maybe one of the coaches, his Declan Darcy's or his Jason Sherlock's or his Bernard Dunn's. No, there was never a kind of a nice moment or a bad moment.
Was that okay with you, or were you sort of Steven Gerrard wanting Rafa Benitez to give him a hug?
Yeah, you want a hug every now and then, but I know I was getting that from, I just hit the vote of confidence that you're in every week, honestly, guaranteed, that does give you confidence as well. And I knew that myself, and as much as you do want to be years, it's like, look, I don't need that. Do you know what I mean? But I always remember the famous example, whereas, again, I've probably told this before, but I had done my first kind of promo gig when I was my first year, 2015. So probably a bit early to be getting gigs for Best Mentor at the time. And there was photos of me in a nice suit, and this is on my Instagram and all this kind of stuff. I was the high flyer, ridiculous when you look back on it. And it was myself, Keane Sullivan, TJ Reid, who's these are all superstars.
Sure.
I'm like, TJ Reid, holy shit.
Yeah.
So I do a thing with them, and this photos of me, and we have a squad game the next weekend. So the pictures are released and the interviews are, they're in the papers and stuff like that. And I have an absolute stinker that following weekend in an AVB game. I just kick a ball across the goal. It's intercepted. The other team scores a goal. I just have an almighty stinker. And whether he's right or not, he probably was. I didn't think so at the time, but he comes up to me. He's like, "Yeah, how'd that go?" I was like, "Oh, look, just bad." And he's like, "Your head is up your fucking hole." He just eyeballs me, just short of grabbing me, and he could see that this had all kind of come to the media. This was probably my first sense of, this is what Bernard Brogan feels like, and. I remember him saying, I don't know if I'm that crisp, but he's like, he eyeballed me, and he's like, "Your head's up your fucking hole." And that was it, walks off. I was like, oh.
I can't imagine.
He's so right.
I can't imagine Jim Gavin saying that.
Yeah, but you couldn't imagine him doing other things as well, and he did.